Today we're going to test a BC-25. We've been able to roast 2 pounds minimum in that with the new double wall roasters, but somebody asked, can we possibly roast as low as 1 pound? So we're going to try it. So here we go. We've got a little bit of Mexican coffee here from Boat Eye Leaf. We're going to put in just 1 pound. Right at 1 pound, if you can read that. We're going to try that out and see what happens. We're in our warehouse at Avondale. Beautiful September day. And this is our BC-25. We're going to test that 1 pound of Mexican coffee. So I'm going to put it in the hopper. We're going to turn on our roaster and preheat it. So this is the power on button, and then we want to adjust our fan speed to about 2 or 3 to start. If it's a cold start, we may have to bump it up higher to get it started. We've got our drum speed set at 7. And as you may know, on these BC roasters from the BC-8 up to the BC-25, they have a pilot light system. So you need to first turn the roasting button on, the red button, while the gas is off in the front, and the pilot light needle valve is turned on in the back. So we've turned the needle valve on in the back all the way, and now we're going to hit this, make sure that is turned off. We're going to hit the roasting button as soon as it lights the gas, which we may have to turn up the airflow quite a bit. If it doesn't light within a few seconds, it automatically shuts off the solenoid and sends that warning signal to restart it. Okay, as you see that light lit, that means that the pilot light lit. You can also visually look in there and see that. And then we can turn up the gas gently. So we've got them all lit. I've got it on about 1 kPa. I'm going to preheat it. And once we get it preheated, we'll be doing this 1 pound roast by sight, smell, and sound, because we'll also be using the hot air temperature gauge to kind of judge things, but the bean temperature gauge really will be just like another hot air or ET gauge, because the beans, once we drop them in the drum, will not reach up into where the thermocouple is for the bean temperature. So if you're willing to do 1 pound roasts or sample roasts via the old method of sight, smell, and sound, we think you won't have any problem doing that. We know you can do that with a 2 pound, but today is the test to see if we can do it with 1 pound. So we'll let that preheat. Okay, we've preheated it for a couple of minutes. These temperatures, it's hard to tell how accurate they are because it's the first roast, but probably somewhere around 350 degrees is what the temperature inside the drum is. So I'm going to go ahead and start the timer, and then I'm going to charge the 1 pound of beans. So that was it, 1 pound. Okay, so I got it on the front of the roaster. As you can see, there's not a lot of beans in the drum. They're just kind of bouncing around. We've got our drum speed at 7. Chances are we'll have to turn that up to 8 or 9 to get beans to actually go up high enough to go into the fryer spoon. Well, we're seeing a few beans go into the fryer spoon. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I had a small flash card in there, so I let some time go by, but clearly we're well into the mallard phase. Light browns appeared. We bumped up the airflow to about 5 because we were getting a little bit of debris on the chute here. The hot air is at 433. The bean temperature says 398 and 7 minutes 7 seconds, but it's probably more like about 360 or something like that. Let's see if we can get a picture of the beans for you. You can see that there. And we'll be right back with more. So our KPA is a little over half, close to 3/4. We're at 7 minutes 50 seconds. 450 on the hot air. The other meter's 415, so it's probably really about 375. Probably within about a minute we'll be going into first crack. We're still at an airflow of about 5. I'm going to bump it up to about 6 or 7, maybe 6.5. We'll see how that goes. So we're just now starting to go into first crack. You probably can't hear it because the camera's pretty far back and there's a lot of outside noise, but the time is 9.5 minutes. The hot air is at 466. The other meter says 442, but it's probably about 390 in the drum. We'll see if we can get a visual on the actual beans from the trier spoon. Very light brown. We're going to go for about another minute on that. One question that's come up is, yeah, okay, so you can do a 1 pound roast in a 25 pound roaster on your startup, but can you do subsequent back-to-back samples? We're going to find that out because I happen to have 14 ounces left, not even a pound, of this same coffee that we're going to put in the drum right after this roast is done. So we'll follow up and see how that works. Obviously I'll have to turn down the heat when we get to that point. Let's see how we're doing. See if you can hear that sound. We're at 10 minutes 40 seconds. Hot air is 481. Probably the bean temperature is about 430. And I'm going to go ahead and drop them into the cooling tray. See if we can get that down there. I've cut off the gas. I'm turning on the mixing arms and the air. There goes 1 pound into the drum. Let's see if we can, or into the cooling tray. Let's see if we can get you to see that. Not a whole lot of coffee, but it's there. Now we're going to go ahead and do a immediate charge of the next load. So I just charged 14 ounces into the drum. Let me take the camera back. And I started the timer right after I dropped that in, but I haven't started up the heat yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I've bumped down my airflow to 3, and I've turned the KPA on the gas. This is a propane model, LPG, down to 1/2. And we're starting a second sample batch. It's actually smaller than the first batch, only 14 ounces. So we'll see how back-to-back roasting of samples goes in the BC-25 using a pound, or in this case a little less. Okay, so we've been cooling the 1 pound of Mexican coffee for about 2 minutes now, so it should be, it's pretty much ready to turn off. And after 2 minutes, we didn't see much of a drop in the temperature. I wasn't following that closely, but as you can see, we're already starting to go into the mallard phase, so I probably should have bumped the temperature even lower. I'm going to drop it down just a little bit. So here we are. Obviously, this is not designed to be a 1 pound roaster. This is our second roast sample, 14 ounces. It's gone into first crack at 4 minutes and 11 seconds. I've got the KPA down to about 1/8 of the KPA. The airflow's at about 5. And as you can see, it's getting pretty brown. So probably what this comes down to is You can do 1 pound sample roast at the beginning of your roasting. I would never try it after you've done bulk roasting, and it may not do real well on back-to-back roasting. Might do better with 2 pounds, but not with 1, or this, in this case, 14 ounces. So here we are at 5 minutes, and it's probably at about 430 degrees right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the cooling red rubber. So we can see back-to-back roasts of 1 pound. They're not a good idea on the BC-25. Whereas doing it on your initial roast would be okay. You're probably going to be better at doing 2 pound roasts where you can, for sample roasting. But a 1 pound literally can be done. It can be done in 9 to 10 and a half minutes on the very first roast. Hope this helped you to see what can and cannot be done on a BC-25.